Okay, hi, Erica. Why don't you have a seat over there? All right, this is the audition tape for Erica Jane. Remember to just relax and have fun with it, okay? Whenever you're ready. There's gonna be a day when all of this is behind me. Okay, look directly at the camera. And it's gonna be a very sweet day. At the camera. And I'm gonna remember those who were with me. The camera with the light on, Erica. And I'm gonna remember those who were against me. Never mind. Trust me. Okay, let's try something with a little more emotion, or any emotion. You ever call me a liar again, I'm coming for you. Okay, can we just maybe tone that down slightly? Or what? Or what? Okay, let's try a different emotion. How about sad? Look at me. Look at my f***ing life. Why are you all doing this to me? Seriously. Okay, thank you, Erica. That was great. We still have one more audition to look at, but I've got a real good feeling about it. Okay, all right, bye-bye. Marlon Brando. Yeah, you want to follow me? You're next.
Hey, Dorit, Kyle, look at me. Look at my f***ing life.
Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 11, Episode 24, The Reunion, Part 4. That's right guys, we are still going strong. Well, not after this. This is the end, but up until now, still strong. So this final part of the reunion opens up where we left off with, am I angry enough for you? Of course, Crystal had the audacity to ask her if she was angry with Tom. Andy says to Erica, when the ladies ask what seems like reasonable questions, you lash out at them. Erica, exactly. I lash out at everyone, wouldn't you? Andy, if they don't understand, why can't they ask a question? Erica, because I tell you the truth. And Andy's like, I understand, but you're biting their heads off. So Erica says, if you were being accused of all these things, and Andy goes, I'd be furious. But if it was my friends, I would try to get them to understand. Erica, I did. Andy, you just bit Crystal's head off because she said I'm not angry enough. And everyone's like, at Tom, she didn't see it. So Erica's like, oh, because I haven't shown it in a way everyone wants me to. And Andy's like, I don't think these ladies are asking you questions in a way that's against you. They're just trying to understand. Anyway, Erica says she's trying to answer everyone's questions the best way she can. And at Kyle's dinner, she was answering everyone, but she was hurt the way Sutton was asking her questions like she didn't believe her. Flashback to Sutton saying things like, you know, I'm not buying it. Things aren't adding up. And then her confessional where she said she made a deal with the devil. Erica says, how do you think that makes me feel? You guys know me. Come talk to me. I'm the source. Now everyone all at once is like, we tried to talk to you. Dorit and Kyle apologize again for the hilarious dinner they had with their husbands. That looked like a good time, just saying. Erica's like, I cannot control what Tom did. Kyle's like, no, of course not. And then she goes, or did not do. Nice catch. Almost forgot the allegedly part. Next, we talk about the LA Times article and how Erica had just left when the story broke. So they were all kind of trying to process it and Erica wasn't there. And it was like not even 24 hours later that Sutton had asked to have a meeting at Dorit's house without Erica. Erica says, why didn't you have me there? I should have been there. But no, it was just easier for you to talk behind my back. Okay, here's my hot take. Yeah, it was easier to talk about without you there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, you were telling them a very different story for 6 years about your marriage, and then suddenly you're divorcing him and nobody understands, and now you're coming out with these fanciful stories every time they're with you. So if you can't understand why all of your friends are confused right now, that's on you. You basically lied to all of your friends for as long as they've known you. Either you weren't lying all those years and you're lying now, or you're now telling the truth and everything up to this has been a lie. So you're either lying now or you lied then, but both things can't be the truth. So I'm just saying, like, if they need to confer with one another with how they're feeling about everything, or to just kind of like bounce ideas off each other about what does all of this mean to us, I think they have a right to do that. You know, you definitely weren't acting super welcoming and open to questions they might have. And, you know, you lied about Tom reaching out to you. You were furious with Garcelle for bringing it up. It's just, they had a right to get together and kind of sort out their feelings without you there. Garcelle said, you know, you left La Quinta because I asked you a question. So I don't think anyone thought of bringing you in, honestly. Then there's a viewer question. Erica, you said you live off of credit cards. When did you realize you were having money troubles? Was one of your cards rejected? Shady questions. Erica's like, yeah, in 2020, I was on Broadway. And Andy goes, oh, you were on Broadway. Were you like, huh? And she goes, yeah, pretty much. Andy asks the ladies if anyone else knew that Tom was having money troubles. Everyone says no, except for Kyle, who said, yeah, I mean, I heard something, but like Andy knows as much as I do. Sorry, Andy. So Erica goes, what did you hear? And Andy said, well, we heard something from the same person a few years ago. Erica, what was it? Andy said that he was in financial trouble, but like it didn't really register. They just thought it was a rumor or that kind of thing. Then we see the Daily Mail headline. Bethany Frankel heard about Tom Girardi's financial woes 4 years ago from her late fiance, Dennis. I quoted her as saying it was a widely known, best-kept secret. Andy, a lot of people wonder how you're paying for your glam. And Erica said, well, you just said I get paid a lot of money in an earlier segment. So there you go. No, not there you go. Your answer in that earlier segment was I don't have control of any of my money. I gave it all to Tom and he controls the finances. I can't get to them. How is nobody calling her out on that right now? It's so frustrating. All Andy says is, so you're spending your money. Erica, like everyone else, yeah. Then Andy said, a lot of people on Twitter thought you purposely chose not to wear waterproof mascara on your hike with Kyle to try to get the sympathy vote. Then we see a tweet from Camille Grammer. Oh, my shady, shady queen. God love her. We filmed in the Bahamas, season 9, and we were all swimming, but I don't remember EJ's mascara run after swimming underwater. Just saying. XOXO. Gossip Girl. So Erica, of course, denies going for the sympathy vote with the tears and the mascara running down her cheeks. I don't need anybody's pity. I think that viewer also said you always wear waterproof mascara, so why would you not? And Andy said, I don't know anything about mascara, but do you always wear waterproof? And she said, I do, because I have allergies and it bothers my eyes. Okay, so why didn't you have it on then? Andy asked her that, and she said it was just a fluke. Even though Rinna was trying to help her by saying, well, you know, we always have different makeup artists do it. Maybe they just put the wrong stuff on. Yeah, okay, way to make her believable to the widows and orphans. She's got a different makeup person every day. Oh, God. I'm sure Erica was like, you know, maybe don't help me, Lisa. We move on to the reports that Tom was disbarred and moved to a memory care facility. Andy asks her if she has spoken to him, and she said yes. We're just openly admitting that now, I guess. You bit Garcelle's head off, but today, sure. Yes, talk to him all the time. Anyway, Andy goes, and? Erica, it's very sad. She doesn't elaborate. Andy said, so, like, what was the tenor of the conversation? Erica, now she's crying. I just wanted to make sure he was safe. After that picture came out that looked so bad, I just wanted to make sure he was in the right place. Now she's blotting her eyes with a tissue. I have waterproof mascara on now. We talk about how mad she got at Garcelle for bringing up the fact that Tom calls her when she herself said it when they were mic'd. Erica just basically said, yes, and I didn't answer those calls because I didn't want anyone to think I was in cahoots with him. It still doesn't explain why she blew up at Garcelle. I mean, she could have just said, yeah, he did, but I never accepted those calls because my lawyer advised me not to. Side note, also, do you guys remember when she told us that if you had the audacity to leave the great and powerful Oz, that you would be dead to him? So why was he calling you daily? Anyway, now she's saying that she spoke to him, but not until after he was in the memory care facility. Andy, how many times have you spoken to him? Erica, he calls every day. And Andy goes, still? Erica goes, yeah, he called 5 times today while I was sitting here. Wow, he's definitely memorized her number. I'm kidding, he has the operator connect him. But seriously, he calls 5 times a day from the memory care facility? Poor Tom, he doesn't even remember that you're dead to him. Andy, have you expressed your anger to him? Erica, I asked him how he could put me in this position. Andy, did you ask him if he did it? Erica, I asked him why why would you, Rinna, it's okay. It's not okay. Why would you leave me with millions of dollars of lawsuits pointed at me? Okay, real quick side note. You left him, remember? Andy, did you ask him if he stole from those people? Erica, Andy, he doesn't even acknowledge anything. None of it. It doesn't even matter what he says because he's incompetent. So I'm left holding the f***ing bag. And I shouldn't even be telling you any of this. Then she looks at Andy and she goes, go ahead. What else? Okay. She doesn't want any sympathy, does she? So Andy goes, the big bombshell in the LA Times is that $20 million was transferred. It was not. It was not. 20 million was not transferred to your company, EJ Global. Was not transferred there. Correct. Andy, it also says that you spent $14 million on your American Express card. Erica, over 12 years. So you knock that down to $2 million a year. And that's about what we're all doing here. I mean, with this lifestyle. Okay, again, girl, are you purposely trying not to be sympathetic? I get that you don't want to be phony and try to garner sympathy or pity, but maybe you should. At least a little. So Andy goes, okay, so the allegation that the money that we see you spending was money that Tom stole from others, not true? Erica, this is a very long bankruptcy, both the firm and personal. I am being sued by everyone that thinks that I have this magical pot of gold over some rainbow. But wait a second. If that's true, what money was allegedly misappropriated? When? How? Does that mean that every lawyer's salary, every secretary's salary should be clawed back? Andy, you said Tom started making bad decisions 3 years ago after his accident, but the LA Times says it goes back 10 years. Erica, that would be long before I was on the show. Andy goes, I'm not talking about you being on the show, like, that has nothing to do with it. And then she's like, well, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I noticed. Okay, and you lived with him for 20 years. I'm frustrated again by Andy not just coming out and saying, yes, but you were married to him for 20 years. Are you still saying you haven't noticed any decline in his mental abilities until 3 years ago or 10 years ago? Whether you were on the show or not doesn't matter. You were still living with the guy. You would still know if his mental capacity has been diminished. Then we go into a whole thing where she says, I wouldn't be on a reality show if I knew he was doing something shady. And Rinna's like, oh, yeah, of course not. She's not stupid. She wouldn't come on this show. Rinna really needs to stop. Erica's like, you can't hide this stuff. But here's what I want to know. Wouldn't Tom have been smart enough to know that you shouldn't allow cameras into your home if you're doing deceptive things? I mean, I guess the cameras weren't at his office, but still. Sometimes I just wonder about these like powerful, high-profile men who do illegal things, and I just think is it their ego that makes them think that they're untouchable or something? It seems so crazy to me. Anyway, Andy says, I have to believe that if you knew he was stealing money from people, you wouldn't have come out with a song called Expensive. Then he said, Sutton, you said a partner at the firm left because his wife noticed that there were shady things going on. Sutton, well, that was a rumor that I heard. Erica, I'd love to know that person's name because it could help in my investigation. Sutton says, I don't know it. Erica, but you knew enough to say something, didn't you, Sutton? This is what I'm talking about. If you're going to throw it out there, then back it up. Give me the name. It could help me. And Sutton goes, okay, help me. Okay, I will. I will. Thank you. Again, she's kind of asked about the meeting that the ladies had without her, and she said she was hurt when she found out. She's like, I wish they would have come to me. I am the source. She's like, at that Christmas dinner, I clearly didn't do enough. I wasn't angry enough. I can't win here. Dorit, wait, here? What do you mean out there? Because none of us said you weren't angry enough. Erica, both. She just said I wasn't angry enough. Pointing to Crystal again, and Andy's like, she just asked if you were angry at Tom. And Rinna's like, yeah, if we're all getting together, talking behind people's backs. Then she and Erica together say, it never works. And Andy goes, but I mean, Rinna, come on. And then we get a montage of all the talking behind people's backs that Rinna has done through the years.
Munchausen syndrome, wherein those affected feign disease, illness, or psychological trauma. I would say she's probably mostly sober right now. They're this close to Kim dying. Wow. Denise didn't show up on Saturday night. The first post is the picture that Erin posted of her in a hospital bed with 6 hernias. That is called a sympathy post. I know how this game works.
Rinna's like, it's true. I should know. Yeah. If anyone should know, it should be you. Garcelle says to Rinna, if you care so much about Erica, why were you pushing Sutton to say something to her that would hurt Erica? And Rinna's like, I just wanted her to say to her face what she was saying behind her back. Andy, did you give Erica a heads up that night about what was going to happen? Erica goes, yes. Rinna, I did. I did. Yeah. Yep, I did. And Kyle's like, well, Sutton's the one that called the meeting, and like Sutton's the one that had legal concerns, but we all had questions. Okay. I'm sure Sutton was like, thanks, Kyle. Now we go on to a viewer question. I'm so disappointed in so many of you when it comes to questioning Erica. Crystal, you were quiet. Kyle, you were a kiss ass. And Dorit, you were duplicitous. Why didn't any of you ask the tough questions? Ah, so the viewer question came from Camille in Beverly Hills. I want Camille back on the show, you guys. Anyway, Kyle said, I did ask tough questions. I asked her, did you know any of this before? Erica, but you never accused me of lying. That's why I had the breakdown at Kathy's. You know me. You can pick up the phone and say, girl, what the fuck? Now, Garcelle is whispering something to Sutton, and Erica can see that, and she goes, what? Well, that's friendly. Garcelle goes, oh, I was just asking her if you ever apologized to her. For what? Garcelle goes, that night at Kathy's. Erica, no. Garcelle, You're not going to? Erica, not tonight. What am I apologizing for, Garcelle? Sticking up for myself? Andy, for threatening her. You said I'm gonna come after you. Erica, do you know what I mean by that? Let me explain. Kyle goes, I don't think anyone knew what you meant by that. Erica, okay, well, I'm about to explain it. Everyone on this show knows that the longer that you stay on, everyone goes through their own personal stuff. And when it's your turn, I will not give you the grace that I asked for. I got it this year. Maybe you'll get it next year. Sutton's like, I got it this year too. Remember when I got called a violator? Anyway, Andy's like, that's not really how that came off. We flash back to Erica's Godfather audition tape.
You ever call me a liar again, I'm coming for you. But that's how I meant.
And here you are, Andy, rolling your eyes and not believing me, but that's okay too. And Andy goes, I'm just saying that's not how that came off. Garcelle, had you said that, that would have been a lot easier to digest than I'm coming for you. And then everyone talks about like her menacing eyes and how scary she was. Andy goes, it was scary to watch. Erica, oh, please. If it had happened in Potomac, it would have been a conversation. If it happened in Atlanta, it would have been a conversation. If it happened in New York, it would have been a conversation. It's only because it's Beverly Hills that everybody's so precious. Such a sympathetic character, you guys. Anyway, so someone tweeted about that, and they had the comment, not once was she called a bully by anyone. And Garcelle liked it, and I don't know if she retweeted it, but she liked it. And she said, yes, I regret that I didn't call her out as a bully. And I feel like I should have intervened. I think about that a lot, just to try and de-escalate the situation. The next viewer question said, if I were Sutton, I would have hired security after that threat. And Sutton goes, I did. Yeah, for a week. Andy, what's your reaction to that, Erica? Erica starts laughing because, you know, she's so remorseful about the widows and orphans. You know, she's a trip. I said it before, and, you know, I will give her credit for just being herself, you know? I don't know if that's smart or stupid, but that's at least one thing that isn't fake and phony. So Sutton said, well, I didn't know what she was going to do. You said you were going to come after me and my family. Erica, you came after me and my family. Her family? Who, Tom? That vicious man in the mental care facility that you're divorcing? Is that the family that Sutton came after? I don't think she came after your son. I mean, come on. You think that's really tit for tat? I'm sorry, Porter didn't steal from orphans, and I doubt she ever would. Anyway, they start bickering back and forth. Sutton, that's not an okay way to speak to people. Sutton's like, I have my opinions. Erica said, and I have mine. Sutton's like, well, you can act like an adult. And Erica goes, I am an adult. Sutton, well, you know what? It didn't feel like that. Erica, and it felt like you were being a bitchy fucking okay? That's what it felt like. You were only worried about yourself. Sutton, well, I wasn't only worried about me. I wasn't seeing you worried about the victims at all. Erica, you don't know that. What should I have done? Sutton, you weren't having a conversation with me. Erica, you were calling me a liar. Sutton, well, if you would have talked to me, maybe you could convince me otherwise. Erica, I don't need to convince you. Sutton says she was only going off of the facts from the article. Erica says, no, the article was wrong because $20 million did not go into EJ Global. Erica's a liar. Erica's inconsistent. Erica's at fault. And Sutton goes, well, kinda. Erica, well, I'm not. Sutton, listen, you know what you did in Del Mar? Erica, what? Sutton, you pretended to be my friend. Erica, and you pretended to be my friend. And Sutton goes, no, I didn't. I thought you were being sincere. And you know what that is? Lying. Erica, no, that's actually just playing your ass. Oh, guys, she's a delight. She is just a delight. So Andy says, Erica, tell us why being called a liar is such a big trigger for you. Erica's like, because it's a big deal in my life. And now Kathy's like, it's a strong word, Rinna. It's a dangerous moment to be called a liar. Yeah, it is. It is, Andy. Then she says, look, I had never told that story about Tom and his car accident to anyone. So she workshopped it on camera, and, it's a big thumbs up from me. You guys know that. It was amazing. So we see a flashback to, he was unconscious for 12 hours. And everyone's like, he was? Mm-hmm. I wish I could do the whole story over again, but I need to stay on track. So we come back and Sutton goes, well, you said he broke his ankle. Erica, he did break his ankle. And Sutton goes, well, yeah, but, you didn't say he had the brain thing at the same time. That's still lying. Now there's some crosstalk, and Erica's basically trying to say that, she didn't lie. She just omitted, big chunks of this story. The most important parts of the story were omitted. But that's not lying, because he did break his ankle. Anyway, now Sutton's like, well, you said your marriage was great. Then we find out he was having affairs. Erica, well, my marriage was not perfect. I mean, it doesn't sound even close to perfect, Erica. If what you're saying now is to be believed, I'm a little confused at this point, because she goes, you know why I omitted that stuff? And Andy goes, yeah, because you were protecting him. And then she says to everyone, as soon as his attorneys called him incompetent, I came forward with the whole story. I don't know what that means. What does her telling the truth to her friends have to do with Tom's attorneys? She's divorcing Tom, right? I thought Tom's attorneys were kind of like the enemies. Anyway, Erica goes, and by the way, when she asked me a question that I couldn't answer, and she's pointing to Rinna, I said, I can't answer that question. And Rinna goes, and I said, okay. Yeah. But you didn't say that to Denise fucking Richards, did you? When she didn't want to talk about her marriage, you didn't say, okay, because you were friends. Rinna, the next viewer question is for Rinna. You said that Erica shouldn't be questioned because she's dealing with something serious. Yet Yolanda's illness and Kim's addiction and Denise's marriage were all serious things. But now with Erica, it's crickets. Did aliens take over your body? Please explain yourself. That is a good question. Well, Rinna says that the Munchausen thing with Yolanda was wrong on every level, and she really regrets that. Then she moves on to Kim, and she admits that that also was not her place to talk about. But Rinna does hope that in some way that actually helped Kim. But again, she doesn't feel good about that one either. And with Denise, I do not like the way that went down either. We get one of my favorite flashbacks ever. Oh, you're so angry. This is diabolical.
And with Denise, I don't like how that went down either. You sent a cease and desist.
Who told you that? You're so angry.
Rinna, all those things, I have to admit, I don't feel great about it. A lot of things I don't like that I did, and I can't take them back. I think each and every one of them haunts me. I don't think that a single one of them haunts you. Because you kind of came after Garcelle in, was it part 1 of this reunion? In a way that tells me you don't have any regrets for how you've done things in the past. I don't think she's a malicious person. I think she's driven and so focused on taking care of her family and getting bills paid and working and the hustle. She's committed to the hustle to an extent that she kind of bulldozes people and friendships that get in the way of that. And afterwards, I think she regrets it because I don't think she has anything against Denise or Yolanda or Kim. I don't think she hates these people. I think they just got in the way of her doing her job, which is, to go for a salacious story. And The only thing that doesn't explain this is her devotion to Erica. And all I can say is I think she made a crucial error at the beginning when she thought that backing Erica was going to be the right move. And then I think she got too far into it and couldn't course correct. So I think she's going to kind of end up on the wrong side of this thing. You know, backing the person who is callously behaving and not showing empathy for the victims here, maybe not the best move. Andy is trying to make some weird analogy between how Lisa Vanderpump was treated and how Erica, I don't know. I'm confused. Everyone there is confused. And Andy said, you know, I just mean like the level of scrutiny for Lisa Vanderpump. And Erica goes, yeah, but she ran away and I didn't. Okay. Like, maybe you should have. Your lawyers are cringing right now, I promise you. With every one of these little snotty remarks, your attorneys are like dying a little bit inside. Well, the next viewer question is, Erica, Sutton was such a good friend to you. She flew the women out to New York to see your Broadway show. Yes, that's right. That's why I can't understand why she flipped on me. Then she goes, she should have come to me and talked to me. Sutton, you wouldn't talk to me. That's because you called me a liar. Anyway, Erica's like, you didn't want to be around me. You were worried about your reputation. You said you wouldn't speak to me. And Sutton's like, I never said I wouldn't speak to you. You didn't want to be seen with me. You called me a liar. Yes? These things are true, are they not? And now everyone's talking at once. Sutton is trying to say, when I said I didn't want to speak to you, Erica, can somebody please back me the fuck up? And Sutton's like, I'm not saying I didn't say those things. And everyone's going, we're agreeing with you. And then she's like, sits back in her chair, looks at Andy, and everyone's quiet now. And Andy's like, Erica, what are you smiling at me for? Because you're a piece of work. And the ladies are laughing, and he goes, you're something else. I don't know. I've never met anyone like you before. Erica, listen, I understand that the story that I'm telling you is f***ing wild. It is. From the burglary to Andy, cars turning over. Erica, well, one car. Kyle, you said Tom's and your son's car flipped over. Well, my son rolled his car. Tom's car was, this way. And he was out of it. Okay, so Tom's car didn't flip as much as Tom himself flipped out of the car. Am I getting that right now? Andy, and you said that Tom was unconscious for 12 hours? Erica, yeah, and it's 9. It's actually 9 because I went back and did the math. Andy, and there was no police report? Erica, they can't find one. What do you mean they can't find one? Did you fill one out or not? Andy, okay, so he called you or they found him? Erica, I talked to him last at 9 p.m. He was leaving an event on the west side. I didn't talk to him again until 6 a.m. in the morning. After midnight, something ain't right. So I kept calling and calling and calling. No answer, no answer, no answer. At 6 a.m., the phone rings, and it's Tom. I said, where are you? Where are you? Are you? He said, hi. Hold on. Hi. I don't know where I am. Now, I don't think he FaceTimed, so I'm not sure how she knows he was literally swaying, but it's a nice touch for the story. I like it. He said, I think I'm on the west side. Now, Rinna or somebody is gasping. I am like sitting there watching this thing because These are new details, and I am living for her stories, she says. And the phone disconnects. Andy, did you find my phone? Erica, he's got a flip phone. Which I love, because in my mind, it is a jitterbug. Then she goes, keep up, Dorit. Erica, so then he calls back. Okay, this moment, I think this is the first time that I felt like Erica was enjoying the storytelling. She has everyone's rapt attention, and I think she's getting off on it a little bit, which for me takes away a little bit of my enjoyment, but it's still good. I'm still interested. Then she says, so then he calls back. All right, side note, why couldn't she call him back? Did she try to call him back? We're skipping that part. They got disconnected. He calls back. All right. Again, she says, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And he says, I think I'm close or in the backyard. Okay. She, of course, looks in the backyard and he's not there. So I go, what do you see? He says, I see the bridge. He then tells me he is below our house. Then Dorit goes, did he tell you he had a car accident? Erica, no. Can I tell my story? Okay. Yeah, go on. I wonder if she has like narcissistic personality disorder or something. I mean, like for real. It's interesting. Even I would say more so in this episode, in this fourth part than earlier. Anyway, let's get back to the story. Garcelle's like, this is why no one wants to ask you anything. And she's like, I know, but please let me tell my story. And Kathy goes, or because you'll forget. Yeah. I'm with you, Kathy. Don't interrupt my story or I will lose my train of thought. So she goes, so I go to the yard and his car, like I see his car is down like this. But no Tom. Tom is at the bottom of the ravine. What? So Tom rolled down the cliff is what she's saying now. Am I understanding this right? So I go down and I see the car tilted and no Tom. Tom is at the bottom of the ravine. 911, go to the hospital. We're fast forwarding that part. Andy, why did you say, by the way, that he was allegedly unconscious for 12 hours? Erica, because I got in trouble with my lawyers. Yeah, I got in trouble for talking too much, yeah. Oh, yeah, the whole thing is just so funny. Andy's like, wow. Erica, look, this whole thing is completely surreal, but it's completely true. Kathy, allegedly. Andy, why was it snowing where your son was? Erica, we're not going to get into that. What? You mean there's a story there that needs to be hidden? Okay. Let's just focus on the fact that my child, not his, were the ones that went to check on him and take him to the hospital. Andy, how is your relationship with his children? We do not speak. Is anybody surprised by that? Clearly, this is a massive Dorit. Wedge. Yeah, wedge. Thank you. Andy, okay, I know we covered this, but I have to keep coming back to it because it's the big thing that everybody is so pissed off about. They're equating everything you do, every attitude you have, every post you make, they equate it as there are victims. She should be talking about them. She should be doing something. Erica, you know how I can serve the victims the best? By cooperating in court and by rolling up my sleeves and getting down to the bottom of it. Okay, who here thinks that Erica is rolling up her sleeves? I mean, maybe she's right that the best thing she can do for the victims is to get to the bottom of this, be cooperative. But can't she also sound compassionate? Can't she at least not sound snarky? And I don't know, I'm probably just asking her to be a different person. And, that's not fair. Yeah, I think now Dorit is actually trying to get her to, she said, you can say that now. I have been saying that. And she's like, no, you can, what you just said, that was a beautiful thing. And, and she goes, my lawyers have said that. Okay, I don't know who your lawyer is, Erica, but I'm sure he doesn't have as many followers as you do. So really it needs to come out of your mouth. You do whatever you want, but I would think it would be the best for you to, recover your reputation, I guess. You don't have to admit to anything. Just act like you care. Just a little. She just kind of ends by saying, Erica, I guess this is her attorneys, either that or now she speaks in third person. She said, Erica has done everything she could. Erica has cooperated. Andy's like, well, okay, you've answered every question I had, and I thank you for that. And now I just want to ask the women here, I think we've all come here with a lot of questions. Do you feel like you've heard everything you need to hear? Kyle said, well, I think Erica cleared up a lot about Tom's accident. Andy says, Garcelle, what about you? Any questions you have that went unanswered? And she said, no, I mean, we're never going to get anywhere with these two, meaning Sutton and Erica. And then Andy goes, Fancy Drew, what about you? Do they call Sutton Fancy Drew? I never heard that before. It's cute. So he said, what about you? She also says, no, I asked all the questions I wanted to face, so it's nice to hear some more clear answers, or answers at all. So thank you for answering, Erica. She hates her. Andy says, what about you, Crystal? Oh, God. Do you think Crystal would ever dare question Erica again? Crystal just goes, I'm good. Then Erica goes, I'm sorry. I bit your head off. Crystal's like, okay. Andy says that the most important thing that he's heard here today was your expression of sympathy for the victims. Did that get cut? Did we lose that in editing? Is that going to be like a special of never before seen scenes or something? Oh, okay. He's talking about when she said that she wanted the victims to get whatever it was that they deserved, which she said in legalese, and then Andy kind of made it all convoluted as well just now. But yeah, the gist of it was, if the victims were wronged, she wants them to be made whole. It's just that she doesn't say it in a way that conveys emotion behind it. It's very dry, it's very clinical. And maybe that's it too. Maybe in her trying to be so careful to not come across as guilty, she has erased all emotion as it pertains to these people who were wronged. And that's unfortunate because it's a bad look. And at the end of this, when it's all over, I just think when she gets to the part where she's trying to rebuild her life, her behavior here today and publicly is not doing her any favors, I don't think. I don't know if she cares. She doesn't act like she cares, but I think she should care. So then she said, can I just say one thing? Thank you for hearing me out today. This is not pretty. It's ugly, and I am well aware of that. I have been pressed for how many months now, and the stories have run wild, and people are filling in the blanks on their own. I just hope you leave here today with more of an understanding, knowing a little bit more about my side. Yeah, but you're not the victim. You just want us to understand your side. I don't know if Kathy thinks that the whole thing is over or not, but there's about 5 more minutes. She goes, oh, I just want to say one thing real quick. Can I apologize to Garcelle? And Garcelle goes, you do? And she said, because I just want you to know, because I didn't go to her dinner, it's because I wasn't allowed to go to her dinner. And Garcelle said, you weren't? That was when the ladies went to Garcelle's and she had like a traditional Haitian dinner for everybody. I don't even think Kathy gave her notice because I think Garcelle said, who are we waiting for? Oh, Kathy. And it was Kyle that said, oh, Kathy's not coming. She's like, why didn't she text me? And then kidding, she goes, that bitch. I never liked her, and everyone's laughing. So apparently it was because of COVID. Kathy said, I was already free of COVID or cleared, but I had this 3-day window. They wouldn't let me come, and I thought they told you that. So I'm very sorry. And I was mad. And Garcelle's like, I accept your apology. Rinna goes, what was that note in your bag? It really just said Garcelle. It was just to remind her to apologize to Garcelle. Okay, so this is now the final thoughts from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Sutton, if you could redo one thing from this year, what would it be? And she said, well, definitely my conversation with Crystal. I would just listen. Crystal. But you guys, I think they're friends in real life. I saw a picture of them together somewhere, and clearly they had gone away together or gone someplace together, and it made me so happy that they were friends. Next is Dorit. Dorit, you're a fashionista, you're a chatterbox. What do you most want to be known for above all? Dorit. Oh, definitely the chatterbox. Andy, well, good, because you are. Thank you, Andy. And she goes, I want to be a good mom or good wife. And they're like, you are a good mom. And he moves on to Kathy. What did you enjoy most about joining the group in this experience? She said, I think I'm surprised by how real it all was and what a sisterhood it really is and how I really adore all the girls. She said it's been fun and she's had a good time. Wait till it's your turn, Kathy Hilton. He moves on to Crystal. He said, you've had a rough entry, but then you loosened up and you shared a lot about yourself with the others. What does it mean for you to have this new group of friends? Well, I don't know. One just bit my head off and the other one violated me, so... Crystal says it was a tough transition, but she always kept an open mind and an open heart. And she said it was really nice to end it the way it did. Next is Garcelle. Garcelle, do you leave here tonight feeling like more of an insider? Do you want to? She said, actually, I do. She goes, I don't know why, but I do. Andy asked her if she had any agenda of something she wanted to get done here. And she said, not really, but I think with Dorit, I'm going to be more direct with her, even though I feel like I have been, but I'm going to make a conscious effort to be more direct with her. And Rinna and I are just moving forward. So Andy said, Rinna, what's your biggest takeaway from this season? We really saw a shift in you, he said. Did we? I mean, wasn't she just kind of the same old Rinna? I don't know. Rinna just said that last year she felt like when she went into it, there was no good resolution for her. But this year she decided she's not going to do that with Garcelle. And she feels good about where she is with Garcelle. Oh, God. She said, I think what I learned about me is that I am a good friend. Okay. All right. Yeah, and as soon as Harry's done with his work up in the rafters, we're going to head on home. We got another fire drill to do. Now it's Erica's turn. Didn't we already kind of have Erica's turn? He just said, Erica, you've been under a microscope, a lot of scrutiny, a Greek chorus of people having opinions. What do you want people to take away from this? Nothing other than to know that I came here today. I honored my commitment, and that's all I can do. You asking me the tough questions, and you allowed me to tell my story. And oh, what a story it was. And finally, Kyle, whether it's with Kathy or your friends, do you feel a responsibility to patch things up and keep everybody together? Kyle said, yes, I do. When I see Sutton and Erica fighting, it's hard for me to watch that. But she loved having her sister there, and they love laughing, and they had such a good time. And she's really happy about that. And then Andy said, well, it was a great season. He's not wrong about that. But I cannot help but think, what does Erica think about Andy coming away from this as like, yeah, this has been a great year, when it's probably the worst year of her life? You know, that's the problem with being on a reality show. Your pain and misery is someone else's treasured story. But anyway, so they end with Kathy's butlers, Patrick and Carlos, are there to give them their drinks. So they bring martinis for all the ladies, and Andy said, Patrick, I'm glad you weren't so traumatized by the ladies that you couldn't come back. And he said, how could I stay away from 8 beautiful ladies? And Erica apologized for her behavior. They all have martinis, and Kathy goes, bottoms up, ladies. And they're like, oh, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it? Sutton and Crystal both do the bottoms up, and Crystal goes, Sutton, we are very much alike. We're both violators. And guys, that is a wrap on season 11. Oh my God, thank you so much for being here. What a season. I do think it was the right move to jump ahead and do the reunions. They were well worth it. And don't give up on me. I still have every hope of going back and recapping the episodes that I missed. They were too good not to. But I will be taking some time off. I'm getting down to the wire. I really need to put all my time and effort into kind of not just packing, but there's so many things to do, especially when you're moving out of state. It's just so overwhelming, all the things you need to do and how you need to contact people. And one thing I'm dealing with right now is needing to fill out like a change of address, but not having an address to change it to. I'm just not even sure what to do. I mean, we're going to be out of this house on the 29th of November, and I can't get mail here anymore, but I don't know where to send the mail to. If any of you guys have a suggestion, I think I need to open a P.O. box in person. So that would mean I would have to go down to South Carolina and do that. And obviously, I mean, I don't have time to, pop over there. That's something that's occupying a lot of my efforts these days. But I will be back once I get myself settled into our temporary housing. I'm not going to have to pack anymore, right? So I'm hoping I have time to get going, but it's probably going to be a few weeks till I see you guys. So, I know the holidays are coming. So I hope everybody just stays safe and happy. And I will see you as soon as I can, okay? Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and give this video a thumbs up and all the things. And also, I love to hear from you guys. I have not been able to respond, but please remember that I see your comments and I enjoy them, and they make me laugh and they make me smile and they make me feel happy and all those things, even though I don't have time to reply. So I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate you. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.